All right. Okay, there we go. All right. So where we left off last, got roles done. So that's really all the admin sections that need doing for this. It's not a very it's not a particularly complicated application, so really just need these three configuration sections. So, okay, we've got separate tabs for our uses and permissions. So everything stays on visible at once. Nice one page thing. Let's just go here. And yeah. Yeah. The thing is you can't change pages on mobile, I noticed. How about that? Oh, there we go. If you touch there. That's right. You got to act like you're touching it. Yeah, okay. So it's usable on mobile. I really wouldn't be doing admin stuff on mobile anyway, generally. You'd set it up on a computer and really just use mobile for viewing items, entering items, checking out items, that sort of thing. So what really matters is that those look good on mobile. So, but yeah, so far we have still a nice responsive app. For what we're going to want to do now, since tonight's the refactor, so you're going to want to go here, go to issues, pick one of these. Not tonight. Service code, tables. Oof, the tables is going to be a complicated one, so let's do it. Not because it's easy, because it's hard. So let's create a branch for this issue. Okay. All these tables look. Yep, that's the. Yep. So now we just want to go to get. Get out of here. All right, pull. Okay. X. Okay. And then checkout branch. Okay. And that's the branch we're on now. So now we're working on an issue. We're going to be submitting a pull request at the end of it. So, roles controller. What I really want to do then is gather our tables up, right? We're packing up after a church function, folding up all our tables. All right, admin categories table. So let's. I don't know if I always use the table head. I think I always use the table head, but yeah, we have 6 tables. We want to see what's the same, what's a little different, and we want to see if we can get a component out of this that can cover all our bases. So, hmm. Let's whip up diff now. Okay. So categories. What's going to be very similar is the categories table, the roles table, and the users table. Those are going to be pretty much identical tables, I think. Uh, I don't. As to the table container, whether we want to put that in the component or not, because these two tables aren't inside of a table container. They're inside of a paper. They're actually inside of a tab. So then we'd have to make that an optional on the component to include a container. I'd rather just leave the container outside of the component, and either you put the table component inside the table container, or like these, you put them inside your tabs, inside your paper. you know, on paper. So, really, what's the difference? What's the big difference between these? These three can definitely be condensed into a single component, easy peasy, and then expanding on that component to handle these cases is a separate matter. And why is Edge open? How dare you? Uh, what in the world? I really have to install an ad blocker on this computer. Never got around to it. Categories edit. Now this is a very special table. This one I don't think I would try. This one is going to be kind of its own thing because it's too deviant of a case. So let's look at our 6 tables. We got our users table, which is just, add, refresh, and of course edit and delete, and a list, and, columns. There's only one column. Roles, which is the same deal, and categories, which is the same deal. Like these tables, right out the gate, almost identical. Almost identical. Uh, let's get rid of that breakpoint. Do not add an additional breakpoint. Just get rid of that breakpoint. This table, because it has these, instead of just data and controls, it's fields and controls. I don't have high hopes for encompassing that functionality in that component, but these two tables, on the other hand, a selection table, I think a selection table and a control table, and one that does both, could be handled. So these basic cases, and that would encompass 5 of our 6 tables in one component that we could replace them all with, and remove some of this redundant code. And then the next time we need a table like those, which won't be in this application because these are all our tables, right? When it comes to making, let's see, let's bring it up. Yeah, yeah. These are the last 2 pages, really, and we're all adding, we're all the creating items and deleting items and adding items to containers and all that is going to go. There's really no tables involved. So, uh, hmm. So refactoring this, but really what the only thing that's going to benefit from this, instead of just leaving it be and let sleeping dogs lie and moving on to the next thing, the only thing that would really benefit from this is the next application down the road. I could then carry that table component over because I carried over some components to this project from the blog project. If you go to shared component. components, deletion modal and pagination. Right. And then of course there's some new shared components like the permission check route component and the breadcrumbs and the context aware toggle. So from project to project, this folder is going to get bigger and bigger, and I should probably create like a template project down the road that'll encompass all the neat little things that have been accumulated that are useful across multiple projects. We got no hooks, but some utils, context helper, uh, form data helper, query string helper. Jeez. And of course, response helpers. So, back to table. So, shared components. New file. Uh, hmm. Data table.tsx. Okay, so. Uh, I don't know if I need that necessarily. Right now I'm just data table. Does that have to be a class? You can't. Hmm, type parameters used. Oh, all type parameters are unused. The type. Okay. Okay. Uh, data dots. Nice. Page rows per page. Times page. Now here's the other thing. This is a category table, but the users table. Admin users, you may notice, is not. So we have to handle both detached and attached paginators. So attached paginators, where the paginator is attached to the table and determines how much of the data is displayed. And detached is when the data in the API response is paginated. So the table is just displaying any and all data fed to it because that data is pre-paginated. So edit user modal, load users. Count. Okay, so yeah, it's really just the data, the controls, and the it's right. So yeah, so we need total page and per page, and of course I'll put the handle page change and change. And I'll put those two in that page, page. Yeah, because it's returning a component, not a hook. It's not going to be returning the page value. It's changed too. So maybe I'd want to keep these outside. Yeah. Yeah, I'd want to keep event handlers outside of the table then. That way, the page is managed outside of the component and just fed back to the table. So the table will be calling the parent components event, which kind of sucks because here I will then still have these redundant things, but I mean, I'd still have to It's just, like with hooks, you'd be returning the values. But because it's a component, it can't return both the markup and the page values and whatnot. Would be nice. Would be a lot cooler if it did, because then I could just have it return what the page is. But then again, eh, yeah. Then again, no. No. So for now, let's get those three in one. So table footer, table pagination. Okay. All right. Total data. All page change. And then empty rows should be done inside here. Okay, so okay. What in the world? Hold on. Are you serious? One page change. Property. Trying to be polite, but you're being a dick, so it is what it is. Alright. So, one thing I want to see between yeah, those 5 tables is the slice. Page times rows per page to page plus 1 times rows per page. Even this one. Okay. Page times rows per page. Page plus 1 times rows per page. Okay. Let's see something. I said, okay, okay. It just works. Yeah, it should. The end is undefined, the slice is since the end of it, right? Okay. So slice from permission arrows per page, and all is -1. So from start, okay, so from start to -1 times permission page plus one, -1 times 1, so -1. So, yeah. When slice's end is -1, that should just give you the end, right? Okay. Just want to double check, but it should be the case. I mean, it appears to be based on the fact that it's just working. So we can remove that extra little bit of logic there, is the point. But now we have our sum table that will rule them all. So even for paginated data, though, that should work. Roles, admin users, right? Users.map, yeah. If this was the slice, right? You have 5, and it's going from no, because the start is after. Shit. Yeah. Yeah. If you slice pre-paginated data, you're gonna get nothing. Right. The -1 is fine for end, but if you yeah. So we have to make sure that the slice logic is handled based on the type of table we're dealing with. I should have left that diff now open. Yeah, so this table. Oh, fuck off. Really, dude? Okay, so yeah, it's that slice logic that's got to differ. Table cell, table header. Yeah, so we need row definitions. Hmm. No. We need just sort of winging it. But yeah, so we need column types because we have checkbox columns, we have data columns, and of course we have control columns, as I've laid out in that enum, right? And that goes for the header as well. I have to sometimes have checkboxes in the header for select all and sometimes not. Uh, we also have to pass in selected data for times like that. Okay, class. Uh, Column depth. We're more defining the column than the roles blank. Okay. Mm. So, for example, in admin roles edit, right, we would have checkbox here, table cell, model action. And then for the other table, we'd have an empty and then user. Selected length, selected. Permission is not length. Okay. So you'd have to also pass in selected count for that. Yeah. So. Okay. Key string equals 0. Okay. And then data. Yeah. Yeah, so each column gets a key, and then each row should have a key as well. data key, data key, data key string. Okay. And then basically table row, table head, table row, key, type, header empty, boolean. That'll be for the checkbox. Ah, for crying out loud. Okay. Yeah, otherwise we got a separate definition for header and body rows. So I'd rather just that. Header blank. Okay. Data, row column defs. Okay. That should do it. Data key. Okay. So column defs dot map C. C dot header blank. Hmm. see. Else. Table cell. B. C dot title. Okay. There should be a switch. Should be a switch, really, if I can swing it. Switch, C dot type. Let me just refresh myself on switch syntax. Okay. Should be switch. Case. Data. So why don't you like it? Because it's doing a thing, not returning a thing. That's the issue. That's why it doesn't like a switch. Okay. So I'd have to have some function outside with a switch. Better just do this as is. See that type. I hate chaining ternaries like this. This is disgusting. Refactoring the code by making it worse. No. But that's pretty orderly. I mean, it's this, 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 this. Type dot controls. Checkbox blank is handled data controls. Problem is, then you have to pass the controls, and the controls are going to be unique. Like it's a coincidence, really, that it honestly is just a coincidence, frankly, because this happens to be a simple app that these controls are the same. It's a edit delete, you know, new refresh, but it's different controls for the header than it is for the body. But at the same time, it's very samey code. If I were to write a unified component that encompassed all the functionality of all these tables, I'm trying to force something to work that just isn't. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, yeah. I I mean, we're only talking like a 450 line file here at most. Taken down to 300 maybe. But the more I look at this functionality, the more I kind of can't. Right? Because either here's what's gonna happen. Either I accept things as they are. It's not that bad, frankly. You know, it's dev and it's table. Okay. table. It's, a couple dozen lines. Either I'm going to have a very limited component that's going to be very restrictive and I'm not going to be able to do a lot of the custom things, or it's going to be a ballooned, gargantuan mess of a component with all these extra fields shoved into it just to be able to handle the different functionality I want. As it is, it requires eight fields to be filled out. 8 properties. I don't know. I'll keep going and see where it gets me, but now that I've hit controls, it's like, you know. Uh, table cell, line right. I controls. You'd have to feed in header controls. Okay. Oh, but here's a problem. Here's a problem, right? So we pass in the body controls, right? Admin users, blah, blah, blah. Where is it? Okay, so we want callback user row, edit user modal, right? So we want to feed this button group in, right? Right. That might be a modal, that's a button, or it might just straight be a button, like with categories edit, no, categories, getting to categories edit. You know, now we're passing this in. How do we tell it that we want? So, I mean, we could pass in D. Yeah, but see, we're now outside of this slice, right? Right. So we don't have row.id at this point. We're up here, outside of the table, and we're passing in this button, right? Right, and we're saying we want this variant, this size. Okay, that's nice. That's doable. Lovely. Uh, Forget the tooltip for a second. That's not that important to worry about. Okay, I mean, we could pass the deletion function, we could pass the callback, but unique things like the ID here, right? How do we tell the table component at that point to use data ID inside that? Okay, what we'd be passing is outside of here, we'd be going, okay, uh, we'd have to make some other function maybe, or we would just go, okay, data table. No, we'd be here. We'd go, okay, data table go. Okay, our body group, button group. Okay, we want that. And then, okay, how do we tell it to put the row's ID? How do we tell it to put the category ID in there? Okay. Because this is going to go, okay, render the body controls. But how do we get that in? You know, it don't work. It don't work like that. Yep. I think we're in an untenable situation here. And also, we're getting to the point where, like, the bulk of the lines of code, like, we're okay, so we don't have to pass those two. Oh, except now it's got to figure out call span for these things on its own. Eh. exposing it. I mean, okay, let's say hypothetically we're in data.slice. We don't know that we have row.id. And also, okay, so body controls, so controls data.slice table row column defs.map. Okay, C type equals blank C type data. So C dot title, it's field string. Okay, field. Where did I put it? Okay, so instead of C dot data, it would be row C dot field. Uh, also, also that ain't gonna work. Yeah, it's too much. Yeah, it's just too much of a mess. Yeah, it's just too much of a mess. Yeah, it's just too much of a mess. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Too much of a mess. Maybe I need to learn more reflection. I'm sure there's some way of using some sort of reflection in TypeScript, yeah. Some advanced shit. Uh, yeah, it's probably like, yeah, form data helper. If we go here, is valid property. Okay. Yeah, but you'd have to get the property name from the object. That's the thing. Okay. Eh, You'd have to do row as any. Yeah. Then you can do that. Uh, but you're also at this point along the chain, you're breaking the. You'd have to do Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and just like return to main. All right, so we made an attempt. You know, I think that was a good, solid try. We explored the possibility, found that it was kind of untenable, found that the amount of limitations, the trade-offs, they just wouldn't be worth it. Everything's an engineering problem. You weigh your costs. We did cost benefit analysis. Only lost an hour of time, and you know, yeah. Yeah. Just wasn't gonna pan out. It wasn't gonna work the way I would have liked it to work. So just not. We got contributions. uh, so let's work on this between today and tomorrow, and then finish out the weekend with this. Let's get these issues knocked out. So, I mean, this table, fine. This table, also fine. I'm fine with pretty much all these tables. And this table is kind of a special case too. So like there was no way I was going to abstract it anyway, because I mean it's got forms and everything. Mm. The admin roles table, the admin users, and the admin categories table are all kind of samey. Uh, I mean, they're so samey that I could probably make a more strict component for just those three. But why even? Why even bother? Where you don't even define the controls. You just have a tooltip for but even then, like, this was an href, right? But this one is actually a modal, where the button is embedded in the modal. So it's like, what are you gonna do? Then you've got to pass and inject. It's a whole thing. I'd rather not. Yeah, just wasn't gonna work. The only particularly, but even this is a couple of checkbox tables, although these could be more readily abstracted. But even still, one is a select all and one isn't. There's just too many distinctions between them. I'm not terribly keen on having seemingly redundant event handler functions, but whatever. I mean, at least this that ain't happening. It is what it is. It's not my proudest work, but it works. And the thing is, I wrote it yesterday in a way that was like, well, I'm planning on refactoring it, and then, well, that fell through, didn't it? So now it's a little messier than I would have otherwise written it because I was planning on rewriting it. Okay, well, that's fine. That's fine. So let me just give it a once over. Yeah, that's fine. Handle select double click. Click. Yeah, those are fine. Okay. Uh, yeah, we need a use effect for that, but we don't need a use effect for those. Let's just rearrange that so that's consistent. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Got unfilled out documentation blocks, but it's better than none, I guess. I feel kind of tired today, kind of lazy anyway. We're not refactoring. We are not factory. Yeah. All right. Services, on the other hand, well, maybe not off service. Off service is a little special, but service is a little special too. But really, it's just two classes, huh? Categories and subcategories. Service, but eh, maybe not. Base. Yeah. So I mean, but also the create is kind of, well, you're passing an object, but it's still. Mm, yeah. Yeah. There is the whole object to query string. that would, if you pass nothing at all, but even still, now you have to know what to pass in, which takes away the safety of having that be parameters if it's just query and then you're filling in the query at the right. The service should define for you what should and can go in the query. If you now have to define your query string outside of this function call and feed it in, you're sacrificing structure. Uh, technically, which is extremely undesirable. Which is extremely undesirable. Yeah, I really didn't think it would go this way, but I was in a certain mood last night and came back today, looked it back over. I'm like, no, actually, no, that won't work. And also that other thing won't work. So the only issue left is just fix the token refresh issue, and that'll be like a whole night of R&D. And that definitely is going to be done. That needs to be done. Like that's more bug. This is something is not working the way it should ultimately. So this needs to be done. No ifs and buts. But I don't know how much I'm gonna get done in half an hour. My leg is killing me. So I'm gonna actually call it an early one. I mean, yeah, same time tomorrow.